Starting your own practice is hard for many chiropractors. It's riddled with both struggles and successes. But here at the Chiropractic Philanthropist, we make it easy by having chiropreneurs and entrepreneurs share their struggles and lessons learned in life and business so that you don't have to make the same mistakes. And now here's your host, Dr. Ed Osborne.
How amazing would it be if you could practice because you want to, not because you have to? Learn how to improve your cash flow and increase your passive income now. Go to moneyripples.com or find their podcast, The Chris Miles Money Show, to learn more.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Chiropractic Philanthropist podcast. We have an amazing guest today I'm bringing to you. This is Dr. Ryan Carlson. Brother, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. I've got to see you like blow up as a student to a chiropractor, to a teacher, and it's been an amazing journey. Just me following you. I can say I'm super proud of you. I'm inspired by you, and I learned from you. So it's come full circle. It's very cool. So thank you to start.
Absolutely, it's my pleasure.
All right, awesome. So in the Chiropractic Philanthropist, we realize our motto is we are more alike than we are different. So tell us a little bit about you as the person and also as the chiropractor.
Yeah, well, that's kind of a fun story. I started off as a little different route. I always like to say I came from the dark side, Josh. So when I first started looking into what I wanted to do for a living, I grew up on a farm, so I had a really good work ethic. I knew I wanted to own something of my own at some point, but I wanted to be in healthcare. And that was something that I really wanted to bring to people, was a message of health and healing. And, at that time, I thought a really good way to do that would be to go into pharmacy. So like I said, I came from the dark side. I was in plans to do that. It's a 2-year undergraduate program and then a 4-year graduate program on top of that. I was accepted into the College of Pharmacy at South Dakota State University. So put in about 4 years to do that and went through part of pharmacy school. And I just realized that it wasn't the right fit for me. And it was kind of one of those weird things where it was one defining moment that sparked that. I was in my pharmaceutical biochemistry class, and I had my professor up front talking, and he was talking. I wasn't even necessarily paying all that much attention, but he said something that just caught my attention. I couldn't get out of my head the rest of the day. He said, "I envision a world where one day everybody will be on at least 10 different preventative medications." And it just hit me the wrong way. But I looked around the room and nobody really seemed to be fazed by it. Nobody was affected by it, but I couldn't get it out of my head the whole day. And that's when I started looking into other options in healthcare, even though I had devoted 4 years towards that profession. Thankfully, my sister-in-law at the time had just started chiropractic school. So I started asking questions to her, and she was a CA at a Vitalistic chiropractic office before she went to chiropractic school. So I started learning about what true healthcare is, and even started reading green books before I even went to
pharmacy school to green book school, if you will, right? Holy cow. That's pretty awesome.
Very cool. So,
all right. Well, so that's a cool story. Actually, I don't think I even knew that total story, but that's pretty wild to go that deep. I mean, you went deep into school. It's not like, you like thought about it and then pivoted.
Right. And it was one of those things where, I had a lot of my basic sciences done, so I would have had to do some of that anyway. But I devoted a good 2 years to pharmacy school already. And it was just one of those things where I knew I wouldn't be happy knowing what I knew now at that time if I had continued down that route. So right. I just had to switch plans and go a little different route at that point. So
that is so true. I mean, I couldn't imagine like listening to someone happily say, I can't, hopefully you could have people on 10 different medications. Wait, what?
Right.
That came out of your mouth?
I just thought somebody else would be fazed by that, but nobody around the room seemed to even blink an eye at it. They were just doing, I just couldn't get that out of my head the rest of the day. It just ate on the inside. So
yeah. So I guess the next thing we'll talk about is, tell us about your practice, like how you practice, but it's pretty unique. I've seen photos and I've seen some of the flow that you have, and it's pretty cool. Different than New York City where I practice by far, but I think it's freaking awesome. So tell us about your practice.
Yeah, so I'm in Northwest Arkansas, and when I say that, a lot of times you think of like the show Ozark or something like that on Netflix. there is definitely that component in this area, but this is also the home of Walmart. So we also have corporate executives. So I have a really interesting mix in my practice. I have some really, really well-paid executives that come in to get their adjustments to, keep them on par with what they need to do for their careers. But I also have a lot of low-income folks as well that live in the sticks of the Ozarks. So it's just one of those things where it's a blended practice, like so many out there. We see everybody. We don't turn anybody away. Kids, we have folks in their 90s that come in. We have athletes. It's a really cool mix. It's one of those things where I went to not necessarily the most vitalistic chiropractic school, but again, with kind of that training from my sister-in-law and starting to read green books as I went through school, I got in with a really good group of vitalistic chiro students when I was going through school. So I've really brought that philosophy into my practice as well. And, we certainly address people's pain. We talk about those things when they first come in, but real quickly, we try and put that aside and let them know that we're going to help them with their pain, but then educate them throughout the process on the table of what chiropractic truly is and really bring that vitalism into their lives as well.
Yeah. How cool is that? How cool is that? And so those principles that you went through school and in the chiro training and your principled chiro training, how do you apply that into your actual life?
Well, it's pretty much every aspect of how I live. And
Cool.
that's something that started when I was in chiro school, and I think this is really common for basically any chiropractor out there. You start looking at different aspects of your life and you relate everything back to chiropractic. I mean, that's not just me, I'm sure. I'm sure that's so many of us. So, I mean, every aspect of how I live, I kind of bring back to those vitalistic principles. And, of course, you slip here and there, with food choices or things along those lines.
We're human, right? We're still human.
It's just one of those things, though, where, if we can bring those vitalistic principles into our overall lives and into our communities, my goal is to change this community so that when I have kids one day, they're growing up in a community that's really centered around those types of principles rather than what modern medicine is trying to push.
Cool. I like that. The 50,000 foot view that you're dropping those natural health bombs, if you will, around the community. So cool.
Always got to have that big vision.
Exactly. And as most chiropractors, many of us, we have like a favorite quote, whether it's from like a green book or a person or a personal quote. Do you have a favorite quote?
I sure do. It's actually right there. It's one that kind of encompasses my whole healing aspects with my patients. In fact, it was so important to me to expect miracles kind of all over the practice. I put it on my wrist when I was going through chiropractic school. It's the last thing that I see before I do every single adjustment. So expect miracle quotes is absolutely my favorite, so much so that I look at it before I do every single adjustment for my
You're not tattooing all your patients' spines, are you? Like expect
I'm not.
No.
It's not quite that weird.
Well, I mean, it's kind of weird, but that's so cool. I remember like first seeing, I'm like, what is that tattoo on his arm? Like I didn't realize, and you got it in school. How early in school did you get it?
Yeah, it was about when I was a T7. So 2/3 of the way through or so.
Okay.
I had wanted a chiro tattoo for a long time, but one of my rules with tattoos is I have to think about it for a year to make sure that it's definitely something I want on my body for the rest of my life. So even though I was pretty certain the moment that I saw that quote and started looking into it, that's what I wanted, I followed what I had and I stayed with it for a year and just made sure that was something I wanted to have on my arm for the rest of my life. And haven't looked back since. I'm sure it won't change.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, I don't think. I don't get that vibe that you will be going in that dark side direction at all.
I don't think so. No.
At all, right? So the chiropractic philanthropist says, we all talk about paying back and paying it forward to the profession, and we believe that we are, like we said, more alike than different. And many of us have had struggles, and we've had some challenges in life and maybe even in practice. Do you have a struggle that, has been meaningful to you that you can share, willing to share, whether it's life or practice?
Yeah. One of my biggest struggles, I think, is pride. And I don't know if it's just me or if that's something that kind of plagues everyone. But, when I was going through school and I was going to all these different seminars. I always wanted to have the biggest practice. I wanted to have the most vibrant. I wanted to be the best in every single category going through school. And I've had to put that aside because what I've come to realize is that it's not about me. Of course, it's about the patients that are in front of us. So while it's fun to have your own successes and reach your own goals, what I've learned as I've gone through school and as I've gone through an associateship and as I've opened up my own doors here in Northwest Arkansas is that you always got to put the patient first. That has to be such an important thing. And even though, you have your own goals to hit and you have your own achievements that you want to get throughout your practice and throughout your career, it's got to be about the patient first. And if you're doing right by the patient, what's so cool is that chiropractic gives back to you as a person and with your own life as well, and financially and all those cool things too. But it's always got to be about the patient first.
Yeah. So that aha moment happened in practice, you said?
Well, I would say, I started getting glimpses of it when I was doing an associateship. I did that with Dr. Bragg Glowacki in Southern California. So I started getting glimpses of that there. But, I always had my big things that I wanted to do in my future practice. And, I just kind of really had that understanding in my first year of practice going through that and realizing that, it's always got to be about the patient first, never about you and your goals and what you want to achieve. Patient first and all the rest will follow.
Yeah, no, and that's really powerful. In my practice, I've had patients come in, whether it's from another chiropractor or another type of physician that says, I just felt like a number.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the direction you were leading in there, saying, it's got to be patient focused because that's, all else will follow if you're taking care of them. The finances, the happiness, all of those things. And of course, they're amazing results, when you're focused on them. So very, very cool.
How would Seth Godin, Gary Vaynerchuk, and Tim Ferriss create a chiropractic practice? The answer is The Payday Practice, a new book by Dr. Jeff Langmaid and Dr. Jason Deitch. The Payday Practice is the perfect solution for any chiropractic practice looking to generate monthly recurring revenue. This book provides a step-by-step process that is easy to follow and guaranteed to get results. Get your free copy today at thepaydaypractice.com. Don't wait, this offer won't last forever. The Payday Practice, recurring practice revenue the easy way. Head over to thepaydaypractice.com for your free copy now.
So now that we spoke about the struggle, what's going on now that's absolutely amazing in your life that you're excited about?
Well, we're starting to expand. So I've gotten to the point now where we've reached a volume at actually the end of my first year that I wasn't super comfortable with helping out just on my own and doing it to the best of my ability. So we've started adding in other docs to the office and really growing in that type of a regard. So not necessarily expanding the services of what we're doing. We're still doing pure chiropractic care with our patients, but just being able to do it on a much larger scale with some more hands. So that's really been my focus over the last couple of years, is just refining those associate systems and getting to the point where the practice can run really, really well, whether I'm here as the leader or not. I really want to get it to that point where the patients don't have a favorite doctor, but they understand that we're all providing really great service for them and really great care and helping them reach their health goals as a team. And that's been really important for me just as I travel and do some of the teaching that I do within the profession. If I'm gone for a week, I got to have the practice still run efficiently here in Northwest Arkansas. And I've got a great team around me that have helped me to do that. So we're just looking at continuing to expand that and how can we serve even more people to an even higher degree as we continue to move forward.
Yes, let's pause for a second because, this evolution is really, really cool. You said in that first year, I know getting another doc and having that doc train the way you want the practice to run is very vital. How about the team?
Yeah. That's one of the biggest struggles, I think, for any young chiropractor, right? They come out of school. We don't really have any management training. We don't get taught in school how to hire. We don't get taught how to train. We don't get taught how to be an HR manager for our teams. Yeah. But that is such an important thing to learn. And I've definitely made my handful of mistakes, so I'm sure we all have. But the biggest thing that I've learned with the team aspect is to make sure that they understand as well that it's not about us. It's about the patient first. So when I came to that big realization, I really strive to pass that on to my team as well and make sure that they're fully on board with that. And just giving Ritz-Carlton statements and anything that we can do to serve our patients to a higher degree, I'm giving them full permission to do that, even if it means that they're foregoing the task at hand right now that they're working on. If we can better serve a patient that's in front of us, let's go ahead and do that first. So, if someone asks where the bathroom is, they have my full permission to actually walk them back to the bathroom rather than just point to the back of the office. Yeah. I just really want to serve our patients, and our team has really latched onto that and taken hold, and they're doing a great job helping me facilitate that for our community.
Awesome. Well, you said Ritz-Carlton. Did you mean Ritz-Carlson?
Ritz-Carlson. There you go. I like it. A new brand coming out.
There we go. There it is. The new hotel brand built by chiropractors for chiropractors and getting chiropractic adjustments, right?
That's it.
Cool. So this segment we're going to jump to, we call Back to the Future. And, if TCP, the chiropractic philanthropist, if we had a time machine and we sent you back to day one as a, getting right out of school, like that day you graduated, you have all the knowledge you have right now. How long are you in practice? This is 1 year, just over a year, 2 years, 3 years. Where are we at?
It's just been 3 years. So
3 years, right? So 3 years ago, you have all of this knowledge, education, learning, experience, good, bad. What would you tell that guy?
Man, I would. Honestly, there's really not a whole lot that I would change, but I would just tell that guy to push forward and make sure that you're always doing your best for your patients. Put in the hard work. Something that I learned from one of my mentors is that work is required, but struggle is not. That's a direct quote from Dr. Brad Glowacki. So I really latched onto that as I was doing an associateship with him, and I brought that into my patient base here. Is that you got to work hard, especially in the first few years. That's going to be super important, but you don't have to struggle throughout that. You don't have to romanticize the struggle, and you don't have to really go into extreme detail with, this is my problem right now, woe is me, that type of thing. But we're just really finding the right solution in order to fix it and make sure that we're moving forward. So I would just tell my old self to push forward and make sure that you're working hard, especially in the first few years. Get those systems tight so that you can bring on other team members and other docs to help facilitate that. And then as a result, you can create some more freedom for yourself throughout that to do some bigger things within chiropractic and really move our profession forward. And I feel I've been doing a pretty good job of that, but there's always room for improvement. Yeah. So I would just tell my old self to, go forward with those things and never look back.
That's cool. I mean, we kind of answered my second question anyway. We had the past and then the future, and, giving back to the profession, helping other chiropractors become more successful. I think that's such a huge piece of the puzzle of our profession. I think, so many chiros have that poverty mindset or poverty consciousness, and
they do.
They don't. And I think it just comes down, personally, I think it comes down to a value of what we do. I've had conversations with my father, which I know you haven't met. He's been a chiropractor for almost 46 years at this point. Yeah. He always talk about, when he talks from the stage, about like a patient would come in and they saw another doc that maybe we had in the office, and they came back to my dad. It's like, you spend so much more time with me. My dad spent, it's like 2 minutes, like whatever it is. But the perception of, being there, being 100% with the patient, and the value you give that patient, sometimes it's perceived as time, but it's a very powerful thing. And I think that's so huge and missed in our profession, whether they're a number, yeah, or whether just like, I don't think I could charge more than, whatever, I'm not gonna throw a number out there, but like $20 or something like that, right? Like for an adjustment, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, these words get said so much in our profession from the big stage, but I think they're two extremely valuable words that every chiropractor needs to understand and they need to conquer, is value and intention. if you can create really great value for the adjustment and what it is that we do as chiropractors, in your initial process with your patients as you're first meeting them, the consult, the exam, and going through the report of findings with them, if you can build an immense amount of value with chiropractic and why it's so important for them, and then have that intention every single time that you're there with the table, just like you said with your father, spending only 2 minutes with them, but the patient feeling like it's 10 minutes, it's because that intention is there and he has the right mindset for them. He's with them, present. I mean, it's just such a key thing for chiropractors to understand. And I think especially young chiropractors, as they're first coming out of school and really delving into a world of unknown things to them, having those two things and mastering them from a young age, I think is a super, super important thing. Value and attention, so key.
Yeah, that's very cool. So we'll come to the final 3 questions. It's gonna be a lightning round here for you.
All right.
All right, it's super easy. You're going to answer them. You may have answered a little bit, but so these 3 questions, we're going to rattle them off quick. So first, who's the greatest influence on the person you are today?
I would say that's got to be Brad Glowacki. Yeah, he was my mentor right out of school. I did an associateship with him and learned a ton. And that's the guy that I get to teach seminars with now at this point as well. So he's been my greatest mentor and one of my greatest friends within the profession as well. Cool.
What's the best advice you have ever received?
Oh man, best advice I've ever received. I don't know that it was put in these exact words, but it's probably from my dad. He's always taught me to have a really good work ethic. I mean, he owns a 2,000 acre farm. Has worked hard my whole life. I've always seen him doing that and never really complaining about anything. And he's just kind of put that message both consciously and subconsciously into my brain throughout my years: is work hard, and it's going to pay off down the road. You're going to be able to give to others, and there's going to be things that you'll receive as a result.
Awesome. And last of the 3, what invaluable resource, whether it's a book, a podcast, something that you cannot live without?
Oh gosh. One of my favorite books was actually Drive. It's a book called Drive. It's by Daniel Pink. And it kind of goes through the psychology of how we're motivated. That's been one of my biggest influencers as far as how I manage my team and how I make sure that we're all on the same page and moving forward together as one unit. Drive by Daniel Pink. If you haven't read that book, it's a really good one.
Awesome. So I want to ask you one last question. This is not a tough one. Where's the best place for people to find you?
That would probably be on Facebook. Yeah, you just look at Ryan Carlson, DC. I'm all over Facebook, and you can find me there, and we can absolutely connect.
Awesome. So everyone, make sure you head over to thechiropracticphilanthropist.com. Check out all the details. We'll connect you with Ryan. We'll even put his website there just in case you are a potential patient looking to get some chiro care in Arkansas. This is the guy for you. So we'll have all those details for you. So Dr. Ryan Carlson, dude, this has been a lot of fun. I'm glad we actually can get you on here. It took a little time, but I'm pumped we had this conversation and we can continue to keep the profession going strong and forward. So thank 100%.
You. 100%. Thank you, Dr. Josh.
You're very welcome. Everyone, last time, head over to thechiropracticphilanthropist.com and connect with Dr. Ryan and get all the details in the show notes. We'll see you on the next episode. Bye-bye.
So you've heard the struggles, you've heard the successes, and this episode is done. But there's still so much more to come and so much more to learn. Head on over to thechiropracticphilanthropist.com and sign up for our newsletter, where you'll receive free practice building tips and strategies, including how to market your practice with your very own podcast and so much more. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on The Chiropractic Philanthropist.